We don't have the economics. And so I would go even a little to the left of you, and I would say there's nothing wrong with make-work programs. To allow people, I mean, you have, to work with dignity. So you have that option, but you also have this interesting experiment being proposed of the minimum annual income.
Yeah. Well, that one worries me because, see, there's a couple of things about that one that concerns me because, so we're having a conversation here where we're taking differences in IQ seriously. But the problem with the guaranteed annual income issue, I think, one of the problems, and I'm not denying its potential utility, it's something I think that would have to be experimentally determined, and all of that. And maybe it could replace a plethora of less efficient social welfare programs. But, it isn't obvious to me. It's obvious to me that there's a substantial proportion of the population, and I would say it's probably 5%, that would destroy themselves instantly if you gave them a guaranteed annual income. And they would do it because they're very low in conscientiousness, for example, and very impulsive. And like I've worked with many guys, often ex-cocaine addicts, who were often not all that high on the end of the cognitive distribution, but very, very low in conscientiousness, high in impulsivity. And those guys were absolutely fine as long as they were flat broke. But man, I tell you, as soon as they had money, they were done. It was like 3 days in the bar, cocaine binge, face down in a ditch, and then they were fine until they got money again. And so the problem with the guaranteed annual income solution is that, man does not live by bread alone, let's say. And if you have money and you have things to do, then you have a life. But if you just have money, you don't have a life.
Well, I look at, I have a very narrow lens on this. What do I know about the big social policies? And, I don't know anything about that more than anybody else. I have opinions like everybody. But my narrow lens is through intelligence.
Yep.
I think more is better than less.
Yep.
Having more doesn't make you a better person, doesn't make you honest, doesn't make you likable, doesn't make you conscientious, doesn't solve the problems of the world. But if we can do something to increase intelligence generally, I think that would go in some measure toward alleviating a lot of these very complex problems. So imagine the homelessness problem. Some proportion of chronically homeless people have schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Schizophrenia is a genetic disorder. Nobody knows what the genes are or how they work, but it's pretty clear there's a genetic component. If you can find the genes, figure out what they do, and come up with real good treatments, if not cures, for schizophrenia and possibly preventions for schizophrenia, that indirectly is going to help alleviate the homeless problem.
Right.
So I don't know what to do about the homeless, but if you can figure out what to do about schizophrenia, that's going to have some impact on that.
Yes, it's basically, yeah. Well, your claim to some degree is that these more complex social problems should be decomposed into isolatable micro problems, and that specific solutions should be sought for them. And that certainly strikes me as an appropriate approach.
Because everybody is different. Not everyone's homeless for the same reason.
No. Well, that's for sure. That's for sure. Not everyone's poor for the same reason by any stretch of the imagination.
Right. That's right. Poverty doesn't have one cause.
No,
but
and it's not merely caused by lack of money either, because that would be a much easier problem to solve. Unfortunately, it's not so simple.